Dr. Chaffee, thanks for the presentation. Any issues with carnivore for patients with renal failure? No, actually, I see patients with CKD 4 and 5 improve significantly and even get back to normal renal function. The literature that I've found in speaking to nephrologists on the subject, they say that it's actually the opposite of what we sort of grown up thinking, which is we've been told that by some people still practice this, that higher protein diets are actually harmful to the kidneys. In fact, that's not what the literature shows. The literature shows the opposite. It shows that higher protein diets actually improve kidney function. And that's certainly what I've seen. I've seen it's a high fat diet really, because your proportion of calories in grams is typically higher of fat than protein, but it is typically much higher protein diet than you would get on a standard diet, any other sort of diet. So it is a higher protein diet, and I do see people doing much better on it. And you're also going to improve kidney function because you're removing out different nephrotoxic elements from plants, such as oxalates, which can be directly damaging to the kidneys as well. So you're removing out a lot of things that can cause harm. You're improving the nutrition and increasing protein and increasing the different available nutrients that are going to benefit the kidney. I have seen a number of people narrowly avoid dialysis by going on a carnivore diet, and either patients, friends, or just and countless people on the internet. A great place to look are those older Facebook groups that deal with carnivore diet, and they're specifically called zero carb. That's what carnivore was called before it was called carnivore. It was zero carb. So zeroing in on health and zero carb health, they do great. And they've been around for a very long time. They're very strict, and so they get much better results. And so they have a lot in their history. So you can go into the search function and you look up, kidney disease, kidney failure, dialysis. I've seen 3 people now, and I haven't been as active on the Facebook groups, but I've seen 3 people in those groups discussing about how they come off dialysis. That was the first time I saw that, was probably 6 years ago. It was in one of those zero carb health or zeroing in on health, and this lady had been on carnivore, just red meat and water for 9 months, and her doctor was telling her, you're going to kill yourself. And she's like, I'm already on dialysis. I already have zero kidney function. I'm already on the transplant list. What more do you want from me? This is not going to make my kidneys worse anyway. And after 9 months, she actually came off dialysis, which is shocking. Normally that's a one-way street. It's just like once you make that decision, you go on dialysis, you're never coming back. Well, for her at least, she was able to come off, and I've seen 2 other people. That's not that many people. So presumably most people that are on dialysis probably have permanent damage that's not going to recover. But a couple of people may be in that boat, maybe just right on that bubble. There's another gentleman I'm in contact with now who is on dialysis, but he still makes urine. And since going carnivore, he has been making more and more urine. So he's giving it a year, and if he's able to come off dialysis in a year, then that's great. And if not, then he'll go down the transplant route. But it's very promising, and I have absolutely seen people in the pre-dialysis stage improve dramatically. So yes, it's very safe, and in fact, it generally shows significant improvement. So hopefully you see that as well in your practice, which I would expect that you would, because that's what happens. Crazy K, thank you for the super chat. Hey, doctor, does ground beef have a lot of vitamin B12 in it? It's all I usually eat. Yeah, it's got a ton, usually enough. If you have an absorption issue or you have an MTHFR gene mutation, you may need a little more in your diet, and liver is a great option for that. Liver's nature's multivitamin, so I don't think you need too much. Most people don't need any at all. They'll get ample nutrients from their diet, but it will bring you over the line if you're sort of on the lower end of optimal. And then some people that have nutritional malabsorption issues, that is very important to make sure that you're having things that are more nutrient dense, such as liver and organs, and just check. So you've been eating ground beef for however long. Check your B12. It's the reference ranges are completely wrong because they're just the average for the community. The community is sick and malnourished, so it's not really a good level to check at. But people have done studies looking at 25-year-olds in good health, no issues, not overweight, all these sorts of things. Very different reference ranges, very, very different reference ranges. And then other sorts of researchers have looked at things and saying, hey, this is really where we're optimal. And so, if you look at those sorts of things, the 25-year-olds that are healthy, and studies that have looked at, what's a more optimal range for things, very different from the reference ranges. So in Australia and most of the rest of the world, besides America, you want to be between 800 and 1200. That's what we go for at my clinic anyway. And in America, in those units, it'll translate to 1100 to 1600. So typically you want to be on the higher end of the scale for them, if not above. And below 400 in Australia and elsewhere, and below 540 in America. That's actually a critical deficiency. You can actually get demyelination of your axons, and your brain will shrink, and your spinal cord can thin out as well. And Oxford studied that in 2008. They showed that people under that certain threshold, and it was basically under 400, that their brain shrank by 5% after 5 years, right? So that's not good. And yet the reference range goes down to like 130 in England, up to 540 in England. And so that's clearly not what you look at. Doctors look at these reference ranges as if they were the optimal range. Well, that's optimal. That's where you want to be. You want that number to be black. You don't want it to be red or in bold. So if it's too high, ooh, that's too high. Ooh, no. Too low. Oh, okay. Now we got to do something about it. But if it's not, oh, that's normal. Everything's fine. So we're treating those reference ranges as if they were optimal reference ranges, as if someone else set out and said, this is where you want to be. But that's not what they are. And that's not what they're purported to be. They are averages. They're just averages for the community. And that's all they are. And we need to treat them as averages and then say, okay, well, that's the average. That's what everyone else is doing. But everyone else is fat and sick. So maybe I don't want to be average. Okay, what's optimal then? Oh, that's very different. Okay, so that's something that you need to know about. But yeah, you typically get all the B12 you need just from ground beef. Ground beef is the same as any other part of the cow as far as the muscle meat is concerned. You'll get the same amount of B12 from a fancy steak as you will from ground beef. You'll get a lot more in liver. And so if you check and your B12 is not optimal, add in a bit of liver. It doesn't need to be much, but it'll be good. Hey guys, just want to take a second to thank our sponsor at Carnivore Bar. I don't promote many products because honestly, all you need to be healthy is to just eat meat. For those times that you're out hiking, road tripping, or stuck at work and you want a nutritious snack that is just meat, fat, and salt if you want it, the Carnivore Bar is a great option. So I like this product not because it's just pure meat, but also because I want the carnivore market to thrive as well. And the more we support meat-only products, the more meat-only products there will be available in the mainstream. So if this sounds like something you'd like to get behind, check it out using my discount code Anthony to get 10% off, which also applies to subscriptions, giving you 25% off total. All right, thanks guys. Dicha Donkata. If I'm 17, if you're 17, so are you 17, and I get a reasonably fully carnivorous diet, can I grow from 5'10" to 6 foot? If anyone in the chat can answer, that'd be great as well. Well, you may not, but your growth plates should still be open at 17. And if you go on a carnivore diet, you will have a better chance of doing it than you would if you don't. I typically see people in that age range as teenagers or younger sprout up when they go on a carnivore diet and have absolutely remarkable growth. And so, yeah, absolutely. You very well could do that. You could very well grow taller than 6 feet. Els son is 14, and he went carnivore like 8 months ago, and he shot up. I mean, he's grown like 6, 7 inches. He's like looking me in the eye now. He's not as tall as me, but he's getting there. And he was overweight, and he had some carrying extra fat, and was shorter, and then just sprouted up. And it was actually pretty dramatic how quickly he grew and how much he grew, and he's still growing. So yeah, it can make a big difference. And your growth plate should still be open at 17. Some people do close prematurely, but as long as your growth plates aren't closed, you can absolutely still grow. So yeah, and so if you are still growing, I would probably expect you to grow more than 6 feet. But you got to be strict. You got to do it right, and you'll get the best results. And your testosterone levels will go up. Your growth hormone levels will go up, which also make you grow, and will make you much healthier in general, and much better athlete as well. So good luck with that. So there's a comment from BM7888. I've learned so much in the past couple of days. Thank you so much, Dr. Chaffee. Your older videos are packed with great information. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I almost didn't continue on making videos because I said some of the things that I wanted to say, and I got things out there that I thought were important, and I didn't want to sort of drown out the message and just sort of water everything down by just sort of putting too much out there. So I'm glad that people are finding the back catalog, but they go into the, the playlist. It's just the podcast playlist, the Plant Free MD podcast playlist on YouTube, and then just the podcast. That has sort of the more important ones, the interviews, and especially like in the earlier ones, those are the ones I sort of went, okay, what about cholesterol, and what about this, and what about that, and just sort of specific topics that we're talking about. And then I also have a playlist called Getting Started on a Carnivore Diet, something like that. And that I sort of have a curated list of the videos I think are probably the most important ones to know about, or at least you should, at least very important ones anyway. So yeah, so I'm glad you found the back catalog, and I'm glad you like them. There's someone else here that actually found that they didn't need their glasses either. So Fardine Dendrew says that I no longer need glasses, I notice, and I sit on a screen 10 hours a day. That's fantastic. So that's really, really cool that you found that as well. There does seem to be something there, and it's I don't know what it is yet. I bounced it off Dr. Wiedemann, and she wasn't quite sure exactly what was going on as well. She'd done a lot of other videos on these sorts of things that can improve. But as far as people fixing stigmatisms and things like that, like some people are going to improve and some people aren't, and so we don't really know exactly who the patient population is going to be that is going to improve on this. But you just try and find out. That works. That's worked for quite a long time, so keep going with it. Frank Calabrese had a question here. Said, hi doc, blood show high creatinine level. Doctor says stop carnivore. Says that I'm CKD stage 3B, blood 7 months ago, all good, and I'm confused. Drink more water, you're dehydrated. It's not the carnivore diet. If your creatinine is going up, it's because you're not drinking enough water. Your creatinine is not going to go up on a carnivore diet because of a carnivore diet. It'll go up because of other things. So you drink more water. There can be other things going on too. There could be some other process happening. It's not from meat though. Meat may raise your urea because you're metabolizing that nitrogen group, and then that turns into ammonia, and that gets turned into urea, and that gets passed out through your kidneys. So you say, oh, urea goes up. Oh, that's bad. But your creatinine is staying the same, and urea going up independently. That's not related to kidney function. And and like I said earlier, the data actually shows that higher protein diets actually improve kidney function. And so urea may go up, but it's not going to raise creatinine. And so that's going up for another reason. And it's almost always dehydration. That's the first protocol. Creatinine goes up, you drink more water. Very simply, You don't make your kidneys work as hard, so you don't have to concentrate urine as much to get out all the crap, right? So your kidneys are working a bit too hard right now. Drink more water and help them out. Test it again. Your doctor obviously has your best interest at heart, but he just isn't aware of this data and the literature on the fact that higher protein diets improve kidney function, or on all the hundreds of thousands of people on a carnivore diet now who don't get kidney problems. And in fact, many people with CKD5, CKD4 reversing their kidney disease. So drink more water and you'll be fine, I'll bet. And then just check your kidney function again in a month. Drink a buttload of water. Whatever you're drinking, drink more. Double it. Try anyway. I don't know how much you're drinking, but drink a hell of a lot more water and then see what you're doing. Also, 7 months is a long time. Things are going up and down. You don't know what's going on in that time. Check it again in a month. Drink a buttload of water and then check it again in a month. Creatinine will go down. Don't worry about that. Hey everyone, really happy to announce a new sponsor for the show and for everybody down in Australia, Stockman Steaks, who are delivering high quality grass-fed and finished pasture-raised beef and other meats, flash frozen and vacuum sealed to your door, something that I've been enjoying a lot of myself recently as well. They also have a great range of specialty items such as high-fat keto mince and carnivore beef and organs mince with liver, kidneys, and beef heart as well. So use code Chaffee today for a free order of beef mince or another specialty gift along with your order at stockmansteaks.com.au, and I'll see you over there. Thanks, guys. My father is 80 years old, has kidney failure, stage 4. So that's CKD4. Seriously diabetic, using multiple insulin shots, want to put him on carnivore. Should I be concerned about oxalate dumping? He has no gallbladder. Well, first of all, that's a very good point about the diabetes. When you go on a carnivore diet, that will reverse your diabetes. Ketogenic carnivore diet will reverse diabetes. And that's a major killer of kidney function, right? So, telling me, oh my God, stay the hell away from carnivore. Okay, so I'll go back to being diabetic with diabetic nephropathy and diabetic retinopathy and diabetic peripheral vascular disease and peripheral neuropathies and all the amputation. Oh yeah, because oh my God, that meat's gonna kill you eventually, and sometime maybe in 40 years from now. No, it won't. Shut up. This is reversing illnesses that cannot be reversed apparently, and are improving people's lives in so many ways. So no, that's not going to hurt you. So I think it's a great idea to put him on carnivore. I think that will help him in a number of ways. I don't think you necessarily have to be concerned about oxalate dumping, but keep it in the back of your mind. If he starts having different sorts of issues that may be attributed to that, potentially you could get some kidney stones or something like that. But, it's better out than in. You want to get these things the hell out of there. If he's getting a lot of oxalate dumping, he's getting sick from that, then you can go with the low oxalate sort of things as per Sally Norton. So watch her videos on exactly how to do that. She's the expert on that. Oh, excuse me. And, but the vast majority of people can just do this and go carnivore and actually do really, really well with it. And don't need to worry about it. Even, Sally once said to me that most people, even when they do dump out a lot of this stuff, they'll maybe have a bad few days or a bad couple of weeks, and then they get over it, and then they don't have any problems after that. That's most people. Her concern is that the those people in the minority, they get a really bad dumping, and actually it's life threatening, and it's very dangerous to them. Well, I don't know if the dumping can be life threatening, but it's certainly debilitating, and it can be very nasty. And so yeah, so it's just to keep an eye on that. And if you start getting these problems, then I would look to Sally Norton's work and on how to mitigate that. But I wouldn't not do it just for concerns of that. I mean, it's better to not eat oxalates than to eat more oxalates and to keep compounding that issue. The no gallbladder thing is not a big deal. You just need to spread out your fatty meals throughout the day. Most people with a gallbladder will form a pseudo gallbladder, which works exactly the same as a normal gallbladder. And so we won't even have to worry about it. But if he finds that if he eats a big fatty steak, he gets diarrhea afterwards, like immediately afterwards, then fine, don't eat that much fat. Just space out the meal, cut it in half. eat half the steak earlier. If that's still doing it, do it in quarters, eat it 4 times a day, things like that. So if you split up your fatty meals, you shouldn't have a problem even without a gallbladder or a pseudo gallbladder. But most people get a pseudo gallbladder and they don't have a problem. So hopefully he's in that camp. Either way, will absolutely help him. At 80 years old, it will give him a new lease on life. Absolutely. They get rid of his diabetes and significantly reduce his demand on insulin, if not completely remove it. A lot of people are able to come off insulin as well. So keep doing that. He's probably on metformin because he's a diabetic. Get B12 in him because he's almost certainly deficient. If you haven't been on a carnivore diet, you're deficient in B12. If you're on metformin, even on a carnivore diet, you're probably deficient on B12. So get him a shot, get him checked, or get him checked and then get a shot. And 3 shots generally is in the treatment protocol. And then get him on a carnivore diet and keep track of his B12. Just check it every 6 weeks or so. And if it keeps dipping down, he just needs regular injections or sublingual under the tongue B12. And good luck to him. And you. 7, thank you for the super chat. Or Sevine, however you pronounce it. Can you explain more on cholesterol and how it affects men and women differently? Well, I mean, it just affects men and women differently in the sense that men and women are different, and we use those things slightly differently, and we make different hormones. So, I mean, cholesterol is just a ubiquitous chemical in the body, and it is used as a precursor to all your hormones. And so, for proper hormonal health, you need appropriate amounts of cholesterol, and you need that from your body making it, which is predominantly where you get your cholesterol from. Your body fills in the gaps by dietary cholesterol, but generally dietary cholesterol doesn't really affect your serum cholesterol very much at all. And so it doesn't necessarily affect men and women all that differently, but the cholesterol is used differently because it's turned into more testosterone in men and different amounts of estrogen and DHEA and all these other sorts of things in women. So the balance and homeostasis of these different hormones is different in men and women, but the cholesterol is used in exactly the same. It's used as a precursor for all of those hormones. So while men and women are different and they're going to use cholesterol slightly differently in the amount of hormones that you have, it's actually pretty much the same in both men and women. That it affects us, that is necessary for all these different processes. Our brain is largely made out of cholesterol. Every cell in our body, the lipid bilayer is cholesterol. Those are cholesterol molecules. Bile is made out of cholesterol. Hormones are made out of cholesterol. Cholesterol is very important for both men and women. So I don't actually think that it affects us all that much differently. It's actually vital for both. It's just we have slightly different hormones, and those are technically made from cholesterol. So I guess you could say that. Or unless there was some sort of specific thing that was going on there that you may had in mind about the cholesterol, but that's sort of all I can think about at the moment to do with cholesterol and differences between men and women. Mary Franco, thank you very much for the super chat. I'm not seeing a question attached, but maybe there's one down the chain. There is a super chat from Robert Walcott, which I appreciate, and the question was down further. So thank you, Robert. Robert says, I'm a type 1 diabetic, so on carnivore, I will sometimes get low blood sugar. What do you recommend to eat to recover from a hypo? I'd probably stick with milk, probably. I'd stick with animal products. Any port in a storm, if you're out in the middle of nowhere and the only thing they have is a soda, get a soda. It's not ideal, but, it's not something that you're doing every day. It's just something that you're doing to avoid hypoglycemia when you're not feeling well, if you're symptomatic. If your blood sugar is a bit low, but your ketones are high and you feel fine, is that the end of the world? If you have ketones, your brain's going to be running properly. And they've done experiments on people, which they probably shouldn't have done, where they raised up their ketones and then started dropping their blood sugar, and they found they actually dropped them down to a level that they would normally be in a coma. Perfectly fine. No issues, didn't feel bad, fully compos mentis, answer questions easily, all that sort of stuff. So, go by how you feel. If you feel great and your ketones are up, or at normal levels, and you feel fine, fine. If you do take too much insulin, that could suppress your ketones and suppress your blood sugar, and so you might not feel fine. Drink some milk, grab some whole milk, raw milk if you can. Treat yourself. But I would probably stick with animal products myself. But if you don't have access to milk, then get something else. Other sorts of easily absorbed carbohydrates, and then just dose the insulin appropriately. If you are getting the right titration of your insulin, it should be easier on a carnivore diet because you're not having all the swings in blood sugar. So it should be much easier, and hopefully you don't have as many hypos or any hypos. But if you do, I'd probably go milk, and then just hopefully don't have the issues with the too much insulin in the future. So yeah, good luck with that. Hopefully it doesn't come up, but that's what I would do. Without all the scents and things, you can get it with scents, but I just get it without the scents. You can also get soap and all that sort of stuff. And I find that's really helpful for skin, especially the tallow on your skin. My God, that's like the best thing you'll ever put on.